We're joined by Paul May from New York. He's the president of the Board of New Yorkers Against Gun Violence. Thanks so much for joining us. Let's talk about some of the trends we see here in the United States after mass shootings like this one. The New York Times looked at a morbid trend linked to mass shootings. It's happening again this time. Stock prices for firearm companies are up following this massacre, and I want to get your thoughts on that.
That's exactly right. The two main stock companies that are listed, gun companies that are listed in the New York stock market, were up 2.7% and 3% respectively immediately after. And the explanation is that gun owners and people who want to buy guns are afraid that gun regulation is going to prevent them from buying guns, and so they rush out to buy guns, and so profits increase and stock prices increase.
Paul, a lot of people are asking the question, how could someone buy as many guns as he did, amassing so many weapons in just a short period of time?
Well, there's no regulation and there's no tracking of the number of guns. Oddly, if you buy two guns on the same day, that will register with the ATF, the Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms Administration. But if you buy, as he did, 23 guns that he had with him and another 16 or 19 that were in his home over the course of time, that doesn't raise any red flags, which is just patently wrong.
Paul, I want to get your thoughts on some things. 77% of Americans don't own guns. After shootings like these, a majority of Americans say they want stronger gun laws, and I suspect that when polling comes out, that's going to happen again this time. Yet we heard at the White House this week, this is not the time to talk about this. And then from Republican Senator Cory Gardner from Colorado, he said this week, this is a tragedy, and if you're trying to politicize it, or if anyone is trying to politicize it, then shame on them. This seems to be the natural response after something like this. If this isn't the time to talk about gun control, then when is it?
I actually agree. It's not the time to talk about it. 20 years ago would have been the time to talk about it. And if we had, and if action had been taken, then perhaps tonight you and I would be talking about the Yankees and the Cleveland Indians. But unfortunately, we didn't do anything 20 years ago. So now is the best time. I think the old proverb says the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now.
Paul, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that some congressional Republicans are willing to consider legislation banning a device that allows a semi-automatic rifle to mimic a fully automatic weapon. That's the bump stocks proposal that was advocated by Democratic Senator Dianne Feinstein of California. Is that enough? I mean, where should they go with legislation?
Well, that's a start, and there's absolutely no civilian reason to have something like that. The only reason to have an automatic weapon is to kill lots of human beings quickly. And so it doesn't do any good for hunting. It doesn't do any good for self-defense. The only thing it's good for is a military use or something awfully tragic like this. So it's a start. It's very difficult to pass gun legislation in the United States, even here in New York State, where we've had some very good successes. Every success comes with challenges. And so the answer to your question is yes, it's a good start, and it's something that we should strive for and then continue on.
And Paul, as someone who's been in this fight for a long time, when you watch what happened in Las Vegas, what went through your mind? Because it's not the first time you've seen this sort of thing, and it's not the first time that you've issued a call for change. What goes through your mind when you see this?
Well, unfortunately, for many of us in the movement, we have personal experience with it, and so what goes through our minds are very personal, and sadness, outrage, and sympathy for the victims who just wanted to go to a concert. They had nothing in their intent that was in any way evil, in any way threatening. They should be able to, pursue their life and their dreams and their entertainment ambitions without fear of being shot randomly like they were.
Paul, we're going to leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us from New York.